world called me a mistake before I even held my child. I learned to breathe quietly, not because I wanted to disappear, but because every sound I made seemed to give people permission to judge me harder. The whispers started 3 months ago, back when my sense shifted. Sweet, soft, wrong, pregnant, and unmated. In a world built on bonds and hierarchy, I became the punchline no one bothered to lower their voice for. My name is Jiwon, 22 years old, Omega, and according to every person in this city, a disgrace. I pressed my palm against the slight curve of my stomach as I stood outside the corner store, rain drumming against the awning above me. The baby kicked, tiny, insistent, alive. My chest tightened. You're real, I thought, even if no one else believes you should be. Hey, isn't that the pregnant Omega? I didn't turn around. I'd learned not to. God, can you imagine? No bond mark, no alpha, just knocked up and walking around like it's normal. Their laughter followed me down the street. I pulled my hood up and kept walking. The apartment building I lived in wasn't much. 6 floors of cracked concrete and peeling paint in the heart of the city's East Side district. It wasn't packed territory. It wasn't mafia ground. It was just forgotten. Perfect for someone like me. I climbed the stairs slowly, one hand on the railing, the other cradling my stomach. My legs ached. My back ached. Everything ached. But I didn't stop, because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering the night that changed everything. 3 months ago, a charity gala I wasn't supposed to attend. 3 alphas whose faces I never saw. I shook my head, pushing the memory down where it couldn't hurt me. It didn't matter anymore. They were gone. I was here. And this baby, our baby, was mine alone. The door to my apartment creaked open. The space was small, barely enough room for a bed, a kitchenette, and a second-hand couch that smelled faintly of lavender detergent. But it was mine. I locked the door behind me and leaned against it, letting out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The silence pressed in. No one called. No one checked in. My parents disowned me the day I told them. My friends, if I'd ever really had any, vanished the moment the rumor started. I was alone, except I wasn't. I looked down at my stomach and smiled, even though my eyes burned with unshed tears. It's just you and me, I whispered. But that's enough, I promise. The next morning, I forced myself out of bed before dawn. Work didn't care if I was exhausted. Work didn't care if my feet were swollen or if I could barely stand for more than an hour without feeling dizzy. I worked at a small café on the edge of the business district. One of those places where people ordered overpriced lattes and didn't bother learning your name. It paid just enough to cover rent and food. Barely. I tied my apron around my waist, the fabric stretching awkwardly over my stomach. The owner, Mrs. Han, glanced at me from behind the counter. Her expression was unreadable. You're showing more, she said quietly. I nodded. I know. People talk, Jiwon. Let them. Her lips pressed into a thin line. I'm not saying you should leave. I'm saying, be careful. This part of the city isn't as safe as it used to be. I wanted to laugh. Safe? Nowhere was safe for someone like me. But I just nodded again and turned toward the espresso machine. The morning rush came and went in a blur of steam, coffee grounds, and clipped orders. I moved on autopilot, ignoring the stares, the whispers, the way some customers wrinkled their noses when they caught my scent. Pregnant Omega, unmated, ashamed. I was used to it. By noon, my feet were screaming, and my lower back felt like it might snap in half. I leaned against the counter during a lull, closing my eyes for just a moment. Excuse me. I opened my eyes. 3 men stood at the counter, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in sharp black suits that screamed money and danger. Their presence filled the small cafe like smoke, thick, suffocating, impossible to ignore. Alphas. I could feel it in the way the air shifted, in the way my instincts screamed at me to lower my gaze and submit. But I didn't. I looked up and froze. The one in the center had dark eyes, so dark they were almost black. His face was sharp, beautiful in a way that felt dangerous. He stared at me, his expression unreadable. The man to his left was slightly softer, his features more elegant, though his gaze was just as intense. The third, standing to the right, had a scar running along his jawline, and his eyes were cold, calculating. Triplets. I'd heard of them. Everyone had. The Shin brothers, owners of half the city's underground. Ruthless, untouchable, feared. Three Americanos, the one in the center said, his voice low and smooth. Black. I nodded quickly, turning toward the machine before my hands started shaking. Why are they here? This cafe wasn't in their territory. It wasn't fancy enough for people like them. I made their drinks in silence, hyper aware of their eyes on me. My scent, sweet, soft, unmistakably pregnant, hung in the air like a confession I couldn't take back. When I set the cups on the counter, the one with the scar reached for his drink. His fingers brushed mine, and everything stopped. A shock of heat shot up my arm, sharp and electric. My breath caught. His eyes snapped to mine, wide with something I couldn't name. Recognition? No. Impossible. He pulled his hand back quickly, his jaw tightening. The other two exchanged a glance, brief, tense, loaded with meaning I couldn't decipher. Thank you, the one in the center said softly. They left without another word. I stood there staring at the door long after they were gone, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. What was that? That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The baby kicked again, gentle and rhythmic, like a heartbeat I could feel from the inside. I placed my hand over the spot and closed my eyes. I don't know who they were, I whispered, but they felt familiar. The rain started again, soft against the window, and somewhere deep in my chest something whispered back. They felt it too. Sleep didn't come. I lay there in the darkness, one hand on my stomach, listening to the rain tap against the glass. The baby moved, restless, like they could sense my racing thoughts. That touch, that moment when his fingers brushed mine and the world tilted. I kept replaying it. The shock of heat, the way his eyes widened, the way the other two went completely still, like they'd heard something I couldn't. What was that? I turned onto my side, pulling the blanket tighter. My body was exhausted, but my mind wouldn't shut off. 3 alphas. 3 strangers. Except they didn't feel like strangers, and that terrified me more than anything else. When dawn finally broke, I dragged myself out of bed. My reflection in the bathroom mirror looked worse than usual. Pale skin, dark circles, hair tangled from tossing and turning. I splashed cold water on my face and tried to focus on the day ahead. They were just customers, that's all, but my hands trembled as I tied my apron. The cafe felt different that morning, quieter, heavier. Mrs. Han was restocking shelves, humming under her breath. I wiped down the counter for the 3rd time, my eyes flicking toward the door every few seconds. They won't come back. Why would they? The bell chimed. I looked up. My heart stopped. It was him, the one with the scar. Alone this time. He stood in the doorway, dressed in a charcoal gray suit, his dark eyes locked on me with an intensity that made my breath catch. I swallowed hard. Good morning. What can I get you? He didn't answer right away. He just stared. Not at my face, at my stomach. Heat flooded my cheeks. Shame twisted in my chest. I wanted to cover myself, to hide, but I forced myself to stand still. Americano, he said finally, his voice low and rough. Black. I nodded and turned toward the espresso machine, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the cup. Get it together, Jiwon. I could feel him watching me, every movement, every breath. When I set the drink on the counter, I kept my eyes down. Thank you, he said. I nodded. He didn't leave. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. What's your name? I froze. Slowly I looked up. His expression was unreadable, curiosity mixed with something darker, something that made my pulse quicken. Jiwon, I whispered. He repeated it slowly, like he was tasting each syllable. Jiwon. My name had never sounded like that before. Like a secret. Like something precious. I'm Ki-yun, he said. Shin Ki-yun. I knew that name. Everyone did. One of the triplet alphas who ruled the city's underworld. The enforcer. The one people whispered about in back rooms and dark alleys. And he was standing in my cafe, saying my name like it mattered. Why are you here? The question slipped out before I could stop it. His jaw tightened. I don't know. The honesty in his voice startled me. He picked up his coffee, his fingers brushing the spot where mine had been moments before. His eyes flicked to my stomach again. Just for a second. Take care of yourself, Jiwon, he said quietly. Then he was gone. I stood there, staring at the empty doorway, my heart pounding against my ribs. What just happened? Mrs. Han appeared beside me, her voice low and urgent. Do you know who that was? I nodded slowly. Jiwon. She glanced toward the door. Those men are dangerous. If they're paying attention to you, they're not, I said quickly. It was just coffee. She didn't look convinced. Neither was I. The rest of the day crawled by. I made drinks, I wiped tables, I smiled at customers who didn't smile back. But my mind was somewhere else entirely. Why would he come back? Why would he ask my name? Why did his touch feel like... I stopped the thought before it could form completely. It didn't matter. Whatever this was, it couldn't be real. People like him didn't notice people like me. That evening, I walked home under a sky bruised with twilight. The streets were quieter than usual. Fewer people, fewer cars. I pulled my jacket tighter and kept my head down. The baby kicked. I smiled despite everything. I know. Almost home. Footsteps echoed behind me. I glanced back. 3 figures. Dark clothes, moving faster than the crowd. My breath hitched. I started walking faster. So did they. Panic flared in my chest. I turned down a side street, then another, my pulse racing. Not now. Please, not now. Hey! I broke into a run. My legs screamed. My lungs burned. But I didn't stop. A hand grabbed my arm. I gasped, stumbling backward into the brick wall. One of the men stepped in front of me, tall, broad, face hidden in shadow. Where are you going so fast? Omega? He sneered. I tried to pull free. Let go. You smell sweet, another one said, stepping closer. Real sweet. Terror locked my throat. I opened my mouth to scream. Let him go. The voice cut through the air like a blade. Low, cold, absolute. All 3 men froze. I turned my head, tears blurring my vision. Ki-yun stood at the mouth of the alley, hands in his pockets, expression carved from stone. But his eyes burned. I said, he repeated, taking one slow step forward, let him go. The man holding me released my arm like I'd burned him. We didn't know. You do now. His voice was soft, deadly. The 3 men scattered. I stood there, shaking, my knees threatening to give out. Ki-yun crossed the alley in 3 strides and stopped in front of me. His hand hovered near my shoulder, like he wanted to touch me, but didn't dare. Are you hurt? I shook my head, unable to speak. He exhaled slowly, tension bleeding from his shoulders. You shouldn't be walking alone. Not here. Not at night. I don't have a choice, I whispered. His jaw tightened. You do now. Before I could process what he meant, he pulled off his jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The fabric was warm, heavy, and it smelled. I inhaled sharply. Cedar, smoke, something darker, richer, familiar. My eyes snapped to his. He was staring at me, his expression unreadable but his gaze searching. Desperate almost. Come on, he said quietly. I'll walk you home. You don't have to. I know. He didn't wait for me to argue. He just started walking. And after a moment, I followed. We walked in silence. My heart wouldn't stop racing. My mind wouldn't stop spinning. The scent of his jacket wrapped around me like a memory I couldn't quite grasp. Cedar, smoke. Where have I? I stopped walking. Ki-yun turned, his brow furrowing. What's wrong? I stared at him, my chest tight, my pulse thundering. "That night," I whispered, "3 months ago, the gala." His entire body went still. "You were there," I said, my voice shaking. "Weren't you?" He didn't answer, but the look in his eyes, shock, realization, something raw and unguarded, told me everything. My knees buckled. He caught me before I hit the ground, his arms strong and steady. "Jiwon." "It was you," I breathed, tears burning my eyes. "You and your brothers." His grip tightened. "The baby," I whispered, "it's yours. If your fated mates didn't know you existed, would you tell them about their child?" The world stopped spinning. Or maybe it was spinning too fast. I couldn't tell anymore. Ki-hyun's arms were the only thing keeping me upright, his grip firm but careful, like I might shatter if he held too tight. "Say something," I whispered. His jaw worked. His eyes searched mine, dark, intense, drowning in emotions I couldn't name. "You're certain?" His voice was barely audible. I nodded, fresh tears spilling down my cheeks. 3 months, 3 alphas. I never saw your faces, but your scent," my voice cracked. "I've been carrying it inside me this whole time. I just didn't know until I touched you." "Yes." He closed his eyes, his grip on me tightening for just a second before he carefully released me. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "This isn't possible," he muttered. Pain shot through my chest. "I'm standing right here. The baby is—" "I know." He turned away, his shoulders tense. "I know, Jiwon. That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" He was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, strained. "We've been searching for 3 months. Ever since that night. We caught your scent at the gala, but you were gone before we could find you. We've turned this city upside down looking for— For what? Your mistake?" His head whipped around. "No, never that." The fierce certainty in his voice made my breath catch. "Then why didn't you find me?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. "I've been right here, working at that café, walking these streets. If you were really looking—" "You think we weren't?" His eyes flashed. "Do you have any idea how many omegas there are in this city? How many scents we followed that led nowhere? But you found me today." "By accident." He stepped closer, and I could see the frustration etched into every line of his face. "I wasn't even supposed to be in that part of the district. I needed coffee, and something pulled me toward that cafe. And then I saw you, and your scent." He stopped, his hands curling into fists at his sides. "What?" I pressed. "What about my scent? It's different now, sweeter, softer." His voice dropped. "Pregnant." The word hung between us like a confession. "So what happens now?" I asked. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't know. I don't know what I expected him to say. Maybe that he'd take care of everything, that he and his brothers would claim me, protect me, make all the shame and whispers disappear. But "I don't know" felt like a door slamming in my face. "Right." I pulled his jacket off my shoulders and held it out to him. "Then I'll make it easy for you. Forget you saw me. Forget the baby. Forget all of it." He didn't take the jacket. "Jiwon, I've been doing this alone for 3 months. I can keep doing it. That's not— What? Fair?" I laughed, bitter and broken. "Nothing about this is fair, but I'm not going to stand here and beg you to want us. It's not about wanting." "Then what is it about?" My voice cracked. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like rejection." His expression twisted with something that looked like pain. "You don't understand. My brothers and I were not— We can't just—" He stopped, frustration radiating off him. "It's complicated. Everything is complicated when you don't want to deal with it." "That's not what I said." "You didn't have to." I turned and started walking. "Jiwon, wait. Don't follow me. It's not safe. I'll take my chances." I heard him swear under his breath, but I didn't look back. I just kept walking, my vision blurred with tears, my heart splintering with every step. Stupid, so stupid to hope. I made it 3 blocks before the tears came in full force. I ducked into a bus shelter and sank onto the bench, pressing my hands against my face as sobs tore through me. He doesn't want us. They don't want us. The baby kicked, hard, insistent, like they were trying to remind me they were there. I know, I whispered, my hand moving to my stomach. I know you're here. You're always here. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out, expecting spam or maybe Mrs. Han checking if I'd made it home. Unknown number. Please don't shut me out. Let me explain. K. My thumb hovered over the delete button. Another message came through. Unknown number. My brothers need to know. They have a right to know. I stared at the words until they blurred. His brothers. The other two alphas from that night. The ones whose faces I still couldn't remember, whose scents I'd only caught in fragments. They were part of this too, and I had no idea what that meant. I didn't respond to Ki-Yun's messages. I rode the bus home, walked up the 6 flights of stairs, locked my door, and collapsed onto my bed. Sleep didn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. The shock, the confusion, the way he'd step back like I was something dangerous. Maybe I am dangerous, to their reputation, their business, their perfectly controlled world. What would people say if they found out the ruthless Shin triplets had accidentally gotten some nobody Omega pregnant? I could already hear the whispers. Poor bastard probably trapped them on purpose. Gold digger. Omega trash. My phone buzzed again. I ignored it. It buzzed 2 more times. Then it rang. I grabbed it, ready to block the number, but froze when I saw the caller ID. Mrs. Han. Hello, Jiwon. Her voice was tight. Are you home? Yes, why? Lock your doors. Don't open them for anyone. My blood ran cold. What happened? 3 men came by the cafe after you left, asking about you, about where you live, when you work, if you're alone. She paused. They weren't the ones from this morning. My stomach dropped. Did they? I didn't tell them anything. But Jiwon, her voice softened. You need to be careful. Whatever's happening, whoever you're involved with, I'm not involved with anyone. Those Shin brothers came to the cafe twice in 2 days. Now other people are asking questions. That's not a coincidence. She was right, and I hated that she was right. I'll be careful, I promised. Good. And Jiwon, if you need help, ask for it. Don't be stubborn. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there in the darkness, my heart pounding, my mind racing. Who were those men? What did they want? And how did they know about me? The answer came at 2 in the morning. A knock on my door. Soft, controlled, but insistent. I sat up, every instinct screaming at me not to answer. Jiwon. Ki-Yun's voice, low and urgent. I know you're awake. Open the door. Go away. I can't do that. Watch me not care. There are people looking for you. Dangerous people. I need to get you somewhere safe. I stood and walked to the door but didn't unlock it. Why would anyone be looking for me? Silence. Ki-Yun. Because word got out, he said finally. About us. About you. My blood turned to ice. How? I don't know. But my brothers and I have enemies, Jiwon. A lot of them. And if they think you're connected to us, I'm not connected to you. You made that very clear. Jiwon, please. No. My voice shook. You don't get to push me away and then show up acting like you care. You don't get to decide when I matter. You matter. His voice was rough, almost desperate. You and the baby, you both matter. But if you stay here, if you stay alone, then what? I'll be in danger? I've been in danger since the moment I got pregnant. The only difference now is that you know about it. Let me protect you. I don't need your protection. I need you to leave me alone. Another long silence. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, defeated. I'll post someone outside. They won't bother you, but they'll make sure no one else does either. Ki-Yun, it's not negotiable, Jiwon. Hate me if you want. Shut me out if you need to. But I'm not letting anything happen to you. I heard his footsteps retreat down the hallway. I pressed my forehead against the door and tried not to cry. Why does this hurt so much? Why does his care feel worse than his rejection? The next morning, I looked out my window. A black car was parked across the street. A man in a dark suit stood beside it, his posture alert, his gaze scanning the street. Protection or a cage? I wasn't sure which. I didn't go to work that day. I called Mrs. Han and told her I was sick, which wasn't entirely a lie. My stomach was in knots, my head pounded, and exhaustion had seeped into my bones. She didn't push. Rest, she said simply, and be safe. I spent the day moving between my bed and the couch, trying to distract myself with old movies and failing miserably. My phone sat on the coffee table, silent and accusing. No messages from Ki-yun. No calls from anyone. Just silence, and the baby moving restlessly inside me like they could sense my anxiety. I'm sorry, I whispered, my hand on my stomach. I'm sorry you're stuck with me as a parent. I'm sorry I don't know what I'm doing. They kicked in response, gentle, reassuring. Like they were saying, it's okay. We'll figure it out. I wanted to believe them. At sunset, my phone finally buzzed. Unknown number. We need to talk, all of us, tomorrow, 8 p.m. I'll send a car. Please come. Hyunwoo, not Ki-yun, one of the other brothers. I stared at the message, my heart hammering. All of us. That meant facing all three of them. The three alphas who didn't know what to do with me. The three fathers who might not want their child. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I could say no. I could block the number, ignore the car, pretend this wasn't happening. But deep down, I knew the truth. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the baby, and they deserved to know their fathers. Even if their fathers didn't know what to do with them yet. I typed 3 words and hit send. I stared at my phone screen until the words blurred. I'll be there. 3 words that felt like signing my life away. My thumb hovered over the send button for another heartbeat. Then I pressed it. The message went through with a soft whoosh. No taking it back now. I set the phone down on the coffee table and leaned back against the couch, one hand instinctively moving to my stomach. The baby had finally settled, their movements gentle and rhythmic, like they were sleeping. What am I doing? I whispered to the empty apartment. The silence didn't answer. Outside, the streetlight cast long shadows across my window. I could still see the black car parked below, the guard standing watch like a sentinel. Ki-yun's doing. Protection I didn't ask for. Care I didn't know how to accept. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, thank you. The car will arrive at 7:45. Hyunwoo short, formal. Nothing like Ki-yun's desperate messages from earlier. I wondered what he was like, this Hyunwoo, the one who texted instead of showing up at my door. The one who seemed to handle things with cool precision rather than raw emotion. And the third brother? I didn't even know his name yet. 3 alphas, 3 strangers who were somehow the fathers of my child. 3 men I'd given myself to in a moment of reckless abandon, thinking I'd never see them again. How did my life become this? I must have dozed off at some point because the next thing I knew, pale morning light was filtering through my curtains. My neck ached from sleeping on the couch. My back protested as I sat up, and the baby immediately made their presence known with a sharp kick to my ribs. Good morning to you too, I muttered, rubbing the spot. My phone showed 6:47 a.m. and 12 missed messages. My heart lurched. I opened the thread. Mrs. Han, 11:32 p.m. Just checking you're okay. The cafe was quiet today without you. Mrs. Han, 11:45 p.m. Those men didn't come back. Maybe it's nothing. Unknown number, 12:03 a.m. The guard outside your building will change shifts at 6 a.m. Don't be alarmed. K unknown number, 2:17 a.m. Are you sleeping? I hope you're sleeping. K unknown number, 2:18 a.m. I'm sorry for earlier. For everything. K unknown number, 4:33 a.m. I'm outside. I just needed to make sure you're safe. I won't knock. K, I walked to the window and looked down. A different car now, sleek, dark blue instead of black. But the man standing beside it wore the same watchful expression, and leaning against the building's entrance, arms crossed, head tilted back against the brick. Ki-yun. Even from 6 floors up, I could see the tension in his shoulders, the exhaustion in the way he held himself. He'd been there all night. My chest tightened. Why does he have to make this so hard? I showered, dressed in the only clean clothes I had left. Dark jeans and an oversized sweater that barely hid my stomach anymore. My reflection looked tired, scared, younger than 22. Tonight. I have to face them tonight. The thought made my hands shake as I tried to brush my hair. A knock at the door made me freeze. Jiwon. Ki-yun's voice, rough with exhaustion. I know you probably don't want to see me, but I brought breakfast. I'll leave it outside the door. I stood there, brush in hand, listening to his footsteps retreat. Silence, then softer, almost too quiet to hear. Please eat something. For the baby. More footsteps. The stairwell door opened and closed. I waited a full minute before opening my door. A paper bag sat on the welcome mat, still warm. The smell of fresh pastries and something savory made my stomach growl despite everything. I picked it up and looked down the hallway. Empty. Inside the bag, a breakfast sandwich wrapped carefully in foil, a chocolate croissant, a bottle of orange juice, and a small container of cut fruit, and a note written in surprisingly elegant handwriting. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but you and the baby deserve to be taken care of. I carried the bag inside, closed the door and leaned against it. Then I ate every single bite, hating how good it tasted, hating how much the gesture made my traitorous heart soften. The day dragged. I tried to watch TV, tried to read, tried to sleep. Nothing worked. My mind kept circling back to tonight, to the meeting, to 3 alphas who didn't know what to do with me. What if they reject the baby? What if they try to take the baby away from me? What if... Stop, I said out loud, pressing my palms against my eyes. Just stop. The baby kicked, gentler this time, reassuring. I took a breath and checked the time. 4:17 p.m., 3.5 hours. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. The car will be discreet. No one will know where you're going. You're safe, I promise. Hyunwoo's safe. That word kept coming up, but I didn't feel safe. I felt like I was walking into something I couldn't control, couldn't predict, couldn't escape from. At 7:30, I forced myself to get ready. I changed into the only other outfit that still fit, black leggings and a long cream-colored cardigan that I could wrap around myself. I looked at my reflection and barely recognized the person staring back. Scared, vulnerable, alone. No, not alone. I placed both hands on my stomach. We're doing this together, I whispered. Whatever happens, it's you and me, always. The baby shifted, and I chose to believe it was agreement. At exactly 7:45, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. The car is here. Hyunwoo. I grabbed my jacket, checked that I had my keys and phone, and took one last look at my tiny apartment. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and I didn't know if I'd be coming back to it the same person who left. The car was even more intimidating up close. Sleek, black exterior, tinted windows, the kind of vehicle that screamed money and power. The driver, a man in his 40s with kind eyes, opened the back door for me. Miss Jiwon, he said with a slight bow. I'm Dae-jung. I'll be driving you this evening. Thank you, I managed. The interior was all leather and dark wood, immaculate and expensive. I sank into the seat, feeling completely out of place. Dae-jung closed the door gently and slid into the driver's seat. The ride will take about 20 minutes, he said, meeting my eyes in the rearview mirror. There's water in the compartment beside you if you need it. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The car pulled away from the curb smoothly, and I watched my building disappear behind us. No turning back now. We drove through parts of the city I'd never seen before. The buildings grew taller, more modern. The streets cleaner. The people better dressed. This was where money lived, where power resided, where the Shin brothers ruled. My heart hammered against my ribs as we turned down a private road lined with trees. their branches creating a canopy overhead. At the end of the road, gates opened automatically, revealing a sprawling estate that looked like something out of a magazine. Modern architecture, glass and steel and stone, surrounded by manicured gardens, even in the fading light. "We've arrived," Daejong said quietly. The car stopped in front of massive double doors. Before I could move, one of the doors opened. Ki-yun stepped out. He'd changed clothes, dark slacks and a fitted black shirt, his hair pushed back from his face. But his eyes were the same, intense, searching, afraid. He approached the car and opened my door himself, extending his hand. "Jiwon." I looked at his hand for a long moment. Then I ignored it and climbed out on my own. His jaw tightened, but he didn't comment. He just gestured toward the entrance. "They're waiting inside." "They," I repeated. "Not we." "I'm part of this too," he said quietly, "whether you want me to be or not." I didn't have an answer for that. I just followed him through the doors and into a world I didn't belong in. The interior was breathtaking. High ceilings, minimalist furniture, art on the walls that probably cost more than I'd make in a lifetime. Everything was clean lines and muted colors, beautiful and cold. Ki-yun led me through a hallway and into a sitting room where two men stood waiting, the other two triplets. They were identical in the way all triplets are, same height, same build, same sharp features, but different in the details. The one on the left had softer eyes, his expression almost gentle despite the tension in his shoulders. His hair was styled more carefully than Ki-yun's, and he wore wire-rimmed glasses that somehow made him look more dangerous, not less. Hyunwoo. Had to be. The one on the right was harder to read. His hair was shorter, his stance more relaxed, but his eyes, dark and calculating, tracked my every movement like he was assessing a threat. "Jiwon," Hyunwoo said, taking a small step forward. "Thank you for coming." His voice was exactly like his texts, formal, controlled, careful. "I didn't think I had a choice," I said. "You always have a choice," the third brother said. His voice was lower, rougher than the others. "I'm Seo-jun, Hyunwoo, Ki-yun." 3 names I'd never thought I'd need to know. 3 alphas standing in front of me, and not one of them seemed to know what to say next. The silence stretched. "So," I said finally, hating how my voice shook. "What happens now?" Hyunwoo exchanged a glance with his brothers. "Now," he said carefully, "we talk." "About what?" "About everything." Seo-jun moved closer, his gaze dropping briefly to my stomach before meeting my eyes again. "About that night, about the baby, about what comes next." "And if I don't like what comes next?" Ki-yun's hands curled into fists at his sides. "Jiwon, no!" I cut him off, forcing steel into my voice even though I felt like breaking. "You don't get to summon me here and expect me to just go along with whatever you decide. This is my life, my body, my baby." "Our baby," Seo-jun corrected quietly. The words hit like a physical blow. "Our baby," said out loud, made real. "Is it?" I challenged, even as tears burned behind my eyes. "Because 24 hours ago, you didn't even know I existed." "We've been looking for you," Hyunwoo said. "Since that night, we never stopped. But you didn't find me. And now that you have," my voice cracked, "now that you know, what do you want?" "Really?" The 3 of them looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them that I couldn't decipher. Finally, Ki-yun spoke, his voice raw with emotion I could feel in my bones. "We want you safe. We want the baby protected. And we want—" He stopped, struggling with the words. "We want to know if there's any chance you could forgive us for not being there when you needed us." A tear slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. "I don't even know you," I whispered. "Then let us fix that," Hyunwoo said softly. "Please, stay tonight. Let us explain. Let us prove ourselves," Seo-jun finished. I looked at the 3 of them, these powerful, dangerous men who somehow looked just as lost as I felt. "One night," I heard myself say. "You get one night to convince me. This isn't a mistake." Hyunwoo nodded slowly, like I'd just agreed to something far more significant than one night. "Thank you," he said. "Don't thank me yet," I replied, wrapping my arms around myself. You haven't heard what I want in return. Seojun's eyebrow lifted slightly. And what do you want? The truth. I looked at each of them in turn. All of it. No corporate speeches, no careful answers. I want to know exactly what happened that night. I want to know why you were looking for me. And I want to know, my voice wavered, but I pushed through. I want to know if you actually want this baby, or if you're just doing damage control. The silence that followed felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. Ki-yeon moved first, gesturing to the couch. Sit, please. I didn't move. I'm fine standing. Jiwon, you're pregnant. You've had a long day. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bleeding through his carefully controlled exterior. Please sit, for the baby if not for yourself. I hated that he was right. I hated that my back ached and my feet hurt, and I was exhausted down to my bones. I sat. The leather couch was softer than anything I'd ever owned, and I sank into it despite myself. The three of them remained standing, forming a loose semicircle around me like they were afraid to get too close. The gala, Hyunwoo began, his voice measured. 3 months ago, the Children's Hospital charity event. I nodded. I remembered. Sort of. Most of that night was a blur of champagne I shouldn't have been drinking, and desperation to feel something other than lonely. We weren't supposed to be there, Seojun said. We don't do charity circuits. Too public. Too many questions. But our accountant insisted, Ki-yeon added. Said it would be good for optics. Show the city we're not just criminals, I supplied. His jaw tightened. We prefer businessmen with unconventional methods. Right, because that's so much better. We're not asking you to approve of what we do, Seojun said, his tone harder than his brother's. We're giving you context. I bit back my response and gestured for them to continue. Hyunwoo removed his glasses, cleaning them with the edge of his shirt, a nervous gesture that seemed too human for someone so composed. The event was overcrowded, loud. We were planning to make an appearance and leave. Then we caught your scent, Ki-yeon said softly. My breath hitched. It was, he searched for words, everywhere and nowhere. We could smell it, but couldn't pinpoint the source. Sweet, like spring rain, and something softer, warmer. Jasmine, Hyunwoo added, sliding his glasses back on, and vanilla. It drove us insane, Seojun admitted. We split up, searched the entire venue. But there were hundreds of people, and your scent kept getting lost in the crowd. I remembered feeling watched that night, remembered the prickle at the back of my neck, the sensation of being hunted. I was leaving, I whispered. I was by the service entrance. I thought I was alone. You weren't, Ki-yeon said. We found you. The memory came back in fragments. The dim hallway, 3 figures emerging from the shadows, the intensity of their gazes, the way my body responded before my mind could catch up. You asked if we wanted you, Hyunwoo continued, and there was something raw in his voice now. Do you remember? I did. I'd been tipsy and reckless, and so tired of feeling invisible. I'd looked at 3 strangers and said something stupid like, I asked if you were going to keep staring or if you were going to do something about it, I said, heat flooding my cheeks. You weren't afraid, Seojun observed. Everyone else in this city looks at us with fear. But you just looked. I didn't know who you were. We know. Ki-yeon stepped closer. That's what made it different. You saw us, not our reputation, not our business, just us. We should have asked your name, Hyunwoo said quietly. We should have done a lot of things differently. But we were lost in it, Seojun finished. In you, in your scent, in the way you looked at us like we were worth looking at. My chest ached. So what happened after? You just left. We had a call, Ki-yeon said, and the regret in his voice was palpable. Emergency. One of our warehouses was being raided. We had to go. When we came back, you were gone, Hyunwoo added. We tried to find you, asked the staff, checked the guest list. But I wasn't on the guest list, I said. I was working the coat check. I wasn't supposed to be a guest. The 3 of them went very still. What? Seojun's voice was sharp. I worked for the catering company. I wasn't invited to the gala. I was just there. I looked down at my hands. I snuck away during my break, pretended I belonged for one night. Stupid, right? No, Hyunwoo said firmly. Not stupid, but it explains why we couldn't find you. We were searching for a guest who never existed in the system. We turned the city upside down, Ki-yeon added. Every omega, every lead. We followed your scent for weeks, but it was like you vanished. I didn't vanish. I was pregnant and scared and alone, trying to figure out how to survive. My voice broke. Do you know what it's like, being pregnant without a mate bond? People look at you like you're trash, like you failed at the one thing omegas are supposed to do right. Jiwon. I lost my job because customers complained about my scent. My landlord tried to evict me. My parents... I stopped, swallowing hard. My parents told me I was a disgrace and to never contact them again. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. When I looked up, all three of them had gone completely still. Ki-yeon's hands were clenched so tight his knuckles had gone white. Seojun's expression was carved from ice. And Hyunwoo looked like he wanted to burn the world down. Names, Seojun said quietly. Your landlord, your former employer, your parents. Give me names. Why? Because no one treats our... He stopped himself, jaw working. Because no one treats you like that and walks away from it. It's not your problem. It became our problem the moment you got pregnant with our child, Seojun countered. Everything that happened to you after that night is on us. You didn't know? We should have known, Ki-yeon interrupted, his voice rough with emotion. We should have found you sooner. We should have protected you. I didn't need protecting. I needed... My throat closed up. What? Hyunwoo asked gently. What did you need? To not be alone, I whispered. I just didn't want to be alone. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Ki-yeon moved. He crossed the space between us and dropped to his knees in front of the couch, bringing himself to eye level with me. His hands hovered near mine, not quite touching. You're not alone anymore, he said. I know we have a lot to prove. I know you have every reason not to trust us. But you're not alone. Not now, not ever again. A tear slipped down my cheek. How can you promise that? My voice was barely audible. You don't even know me. Then let us, Hyunwoo said, moving to sit on the arm of the couch, not crowding me, but close enough that I could feel the warmth of his presence. Let us know you. Let us prove that we're not going to disappear again. We want this baby, Seojun added, his voice softer than I'd heard it. We want you. Maybe that sounds insane after one day, but it's the truth. I looked between the three of them, at Ki-yeon still kneeling before me, at Hyunwoo's careful distance, at Seojun's fierce honesty. I don't know how to do this, I admitted. I don't know how to trust you. I don't know how to fit into your world. You don't have to fit, Ki-yeon said. We'll make space, however much you need. And if it's too much space, if I can't, then we'll figure it out, Hyunwoo assured me. Together. The baby kicked hard enough that I gasped and pressed my hand to my stomach. All three of them tensed. Are you okay? Ki-yeon asked urgently. Fine. The baby's just... Another kick. Active tonight. Can I... Ki-yeon stopped himself, his hand hovering near my stomach. Can I feel? My breath caught. This moment felt bigger than it should, more intimate than it had any right to be. Slowly, I took his hand and placed it where the baby was moving. His eyes went wide, a kick right against his palm. Oh my God, he breathed. That's really... Your baby, I finished. Our baby. He looked up at me and the expression on his face was so raw, so full of wonder and fear, and something that looked dangerously close to devotion, that I had to look away before I started crying again. Can we? Hyunwoo's voice was hesitant. I nodded before he could finish asking. He and Seojun moved closer, and suddenly there were three hands on my stomach, three sets of eyes watching for movement, three alphas experiencing their child for the first time. The baby seemed to sense them, kicking more actively than they had in days. They're strong, Seojun observed, something like pride in his voice. Takes after their parents, Hyunwoo said with a small smile. Or they're already sick of being crowded, I muttered. Ki-yeon laughed, actually laughed. and the sound did something dangerous to my heart. What? I asked. You, he said, still smiling. You're going to be an amazing parent. You don't know that. I do, he insisted. Anyone who survived what you survived and still fights this hard for their baby? That's strength. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just sat there, surrounded by three alphas, feeling their child move between us, and let myself imagine, just for a moment, that this could be real. Eventually, they pulled back, giving me space to breathe. You should eat, Hyunwoo said, standing. When was the last time you had a proper meal? This morning. The breakfast Ki-yeon brought. That was 13 hours ago, Seo-jun pointed out. You're eating for two. I'm aware. Then let us feed you, Hyunwoo said. Please. I wanted to argue, wanted to maintain some semblance of independence. But I was hungry and tired, and something about the way they were looking at me, like I was precious, like I mattered, made it hard to refuse. Okay, I said quietly. They led me to a dining room that was somehow even more intimidating than the sitting room. A long table that could seat at least 20 people. More expensive art on the walls. A chandelier that probably cost more than my entire apartment building. But they didn't seat me at the massive table. Instead, they guided me to a smaller alcove by the windows, where a round table was already set for four. We thought this might be more comfortable, Hyunwoo explained. You planned this? We hoped you'd stay, Ki-yeon admitted. Seo-jun pulled out a chair for me, and I sat, feeling overwhelmed by the sheer domesticity of it all. The food appeared within minutes, brought by silent staff who vanished as quickly as they came. Grilled fish, steamed vegetables, rice, soup, more food than I could possibly eat. We didn't know what you liked, Hyunwoo said, taking the seat across from me, so we had them prepare options. This is too much, I protested. Eat what you want, Seo-jun said, settling beside Hyunwoo. Leave the rest. Ki-yeon sat next to me, close enough that our shoulders almost touched. I picked up my chopsticks, hyper-aware of three sets of eyes watching me. You don't have to stare, I muttered. Sorry, Hyunwoo said, but didn't look away. It's just surreal, Ki-yeon finished. Having you here, it feels surreal. For you? I took a bite of fish. It was perfectly cooked, of course. Try being on this side of it. Fair point, Seo-jun conceded. We ate in silence for a few minutes. It should have been awkward, but it wasn't. It was almost comfortable. Tell me something, I said suddenly. Something real. Not about business or the gala or any of this. I gestured vaguely. Just something true. The three of them exchanged glances. I'll go, Ki-yeon offered. He set down his chopsticks and turned slightly toward me. Something true? I'm terrified. I blinked. Of what? Of being a father. Of not being good enough. He stopped, his voice catching. Of you realizing we're not worth the risk and disappearing again. My chest tightened. My turn, Hyunwoo said quietly. I spent 3 months convinced we'd never find you, that we'd lost our chance at... He paused, choosing his words carefully. At something real. And now that you're here, I don't know how to convince you to stay without overwhelming you. I don't need convincing, I said before I could stop myself. I need honesty. I need to know this isn't just about obligation or guilt or... It's not, Seo-jun interrupted. His dark eyes held mine, intense and unwavering. You want something true? Here it is. I've never wanted anything the way I want this. You, the baby. A life that doesn't revolve around violence and control. You walked into our world once and turned everything upside down. And I'm terrified that we're going to ruin you. The words hung in the air between us. You can't ruin something that's already broken, I whispered. You're not broken, all three of them said in unison. I laughed, a broken, watery sound. You don't know that. We know enough, Ki-yeon said, reaching over to gently wipe a tear from my cheek. And we want to know more. Everything. If you'll let us. I looked at his hand still hovering near my face, at Hyunwoo's careful expression, at Seo-jun's fierce protectiveness. 3 strangers who somehow didn't feel like strangers anymore. 3 alphas who I wanted to hate but couldn't quite manage it. 3 fathers who already loved a baby they'd never met. I'm scared, I admitted. So are we, Hyunwoo said softly. What if this doesn't work? Then we figure it out, Sojun replied. Together. What if I'm not enough? Ki-yun's hand moved to cup my cheek, his touch impossibly gentle. You're already more than enough. I closed my eyes, letting myself lean into his warmth for just a moment. Stay tonight, he murmured. Not because you promised, not because you're scared to leave, but because maybe part of you wants to see what this could be. I opened my eyes and found him watching me with an expression that made my heart stutter. Want, fear, hope. Everything I was feeling reflected back at me. Just tonight, I said. Just tonight, he agreed. But we both knew it was a lie. After dinner, Hyunwoo showed me to a guest room on the second floor. It's yours, he said. For as long as you need it. No pressure, no expectations. The room was beautiful. Soft grays and creams, a massive bed with what had to be 1,000 thread count sheets, an en-suite bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. This is too much, I said for the 100th time that night. It's what you deserve, he replied simply. There are clothes in the closet. We had them brought in this afternoon. If they don't fit or you don't like them, just let us know. You bought me clothes? We wanted you to be comfortable. I didn't know how to process that level of thoughtfulness from three men I barely knew. Thank you, I managed. He smiled. Small, genuine. Get some rest. If you need anything at all, we're just down the hall. He turned to leave. Hyunwoo? He paused in the doorway. Why are you doing this? Really? He was quiet for a long moment. Because the moment we caught your scent, something in us knew, he said finally. We've spent 3 months trying to find you. Now that we have, we're not letting go. Not unless you tell us to. And if I do, tell you to let go? His expression was solemn. Then we will, but we'll make sure you and the baby are taken care of first. That's non-negotiable. He left before I could respond. I stood in the middle of the room, overwhelmed by everything that had happened in the past 24 hours. Yesterday I was alone, scared, barely surviving. Tonight I was standing in a mansion, surrounded by 3 alphas who claimed they wanted me, carrying a baby who kicked every time their fathers were near. It was too much. It was everything. It was terrifying. I walked to the window and looked out over the estate grounds. The gardens were lit with subtle lighting, creating a dreamlike landscape. My phone buzzed. Ki-yun, I know you probably need space, but I couldn't sleep without making sure you're okay. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Me. I'm okay, confused, scared, but okay. Ki-yun. That's honest. I appreciate that. Ki-yun. For what it's worth, I'm confused and scared too. Me. You're a mafia boss. You're not scared of anything. Ki-yun. I'm scared of losing you again. My breath caught. Me. You never had me to lose, Ki-yun. Didn't I? I didn't know how to answer that. Ki-yun. Sleep well, Jiwon. We'll be here when you wake up, I promise. I set the phone down and pressed my hand to my stomach. What do you think? I whispered to the baby. Are we making a huge mistake? A gentle kick. Then another. Yeah, I murmured. That's what I thought. But as I climbed into the softest bed I'd ever felt, wearing clothes that actually fit my changing body, in a room where I felt safe for the first time in months, I let myself hope. Just a little. Would you let yourself fall for 3 men who promised to catch you? Because bonds remember. The thought echoed in my mind as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for sleep that wouldn't come. The bed was too soft. The room was too quiet. Everything felt too perfect, like a dream I'd wake up from any second. I turned onto my side, pulling the covers closer. The baby shifted with me, settling into a new position. My phone screen lit up the darkness. 2:47 a.m. I reached for it, expecting nothing, but there was a notification. News alert, breaking. Explosion at Eastside Warehouse District. Multiple casualties reported. My blood ran cold. Eastside. That was my neighborhood. I sat up, my heart pounding as I clicked the article. The web page loaded slowly. each second stretching into eternity. Authorities responding to explosion at abandoned warehouse on Fletcher Street. Early reports suggest gang-related activity. 3 hospitalized. Investigation ongoing. Fletcher Street, 2 blocks from my apartment. My hands started shaking. This is because of me. The thought slammed into me with absolute certainty. Those men asking about me at the café, the enemies Jiwon mentioned. Word getting out. Someone was sending a message. I threw off the covers and stood, my legs unsteady. I needed to, what, tell them? Leave? I didn't know. But I couldn't just lie here pretending everything was fine when people were getting hurt because someone was looking for me. I grabbed my phone and headed for the door. The hallway was dark except for subtle floor lighting. I had no idea which room was theirs, but I started walking, my bare feet silent on the hardwood. A door opened ahead of me. Jiwon stepped out, wearing only sleep pants, his hair disheveled. His eyes found mine immediately. Jiwon? His voice was rough with sleep, or lack of it. What's wrong? There was an explosion, I said, my voice shaking. In my neighborhood, the news said. His expression shifted instantly from concern to cold fury. Stay here. He pulled out his phone, already dialing. No, I grabbed his arm. Tell me what's happening. Tell me this isn't because of me. He looked at me, and I saw the truth in his eyes before he said a word. Jiwon, it's not your fault, he said firmly, even as he brought the phone to his ear. Hyunwoo, we have a situation. 2 doors opened simultaneously. Seojun emerged from one, fully dressed despite the hour. Hyunwoo from another, pulling on a shirt as he walked. What happened? Seojun's voice was sharp, alert. Explosion. East Side, Fletcher Street, Jiwon said, his hand still on my arm like he was afraid I'd disappear. Hyunwoo's expression went deadly calm. Casualties? 3 hospitalized according to the news. Minho's territory, Seojun said. He'll want blood for this. It's not about territory, I said, and all 3 of them looked at me. It's about me. Someone's looking for me. Mrs. Han said men were asking questions. And now this. You don't know that, Hyunwoo said, but his tone wasn't convincing. Don't lie to me. My voice came out harder than I intended. Not about this. If people are getting hurt because of me, I deserve to know. The 3 of them exchanged glances. Tell her, Seojun said finally. She's not stupid, and treating her like she is won't help anyone. Jiwon's jaw tightened, but he nodded. There's been chatter, since yesterday. Word got out that we found an Omega, someone we've been looking for. And we have enemies, he continued carefully. People who would use that information against us. Use me against you, you mean? Yes. The simple honesty of it hit harder than any lie would have. So what? I wrapped my arms around myself. I'm a target now? Everyone around me is in danger? We're handling it, Hyunwoo assured me. Handling it how? By blowing up buildings? We didn't blow up anything, Seojun said, his voice hard. But whoever did is about to regret it. The cold certainty in his tone made my stomach turn. This is insane, I whispered. I should go. I should leave before anyone else gets hurt. No! Jiwon stepped in front of me, his hands gentle on my shoulders despite the intensity in his eyes. That's exactly what they want, to isolate you, to make you vulnerable. I'm already vulnerable. I'm pregnant and alone and… You're not alone, he interrupted. Not anymore. And you're safest here. With us. Am I? I looked between the 3 of them. Or am I just trapped in a different kind of danger? None of them had an answer for that. My phone buzzed. I looked down. Unknown number. Pretty neighborhood you lived in. Shame about the fire. My hands went numb. Unknown number. Wonder what else could burn. Jiwon took the phone from my shaking hands, read the messages, and his expression went blank. The kind of blank that meant violence was simmering just beneath the surface. He showed it to his brothers. Trace it, Seojun ordered. Already on it, Hyunwoo said, typing rapidly on his own phone. Who is this? I asked, my voice barely working. Who's doing this? Someone with a death wish, Jiwon said quietly. Another message came through. Unknown number. Does she know what you are? What you've done? Ask them about the Busan incident, little Omega. Ask them about the families. I looked up at Ki-hyun. What is he talking about? His expression closed off. Jiwon. What happened in Busan? It's not. Tell me, my voice cracked. If I'm in danger because of you, I deserve to know why. The silence stretched. Finally, Hyunwoo spoke, his voice carefully neutral. 3 years ago, there was a territorial dispute. A rival organization tried to move into our district. There was a confrontation. A confrontation that involved families? I pressed. It involved casualties, Seo-jun said bluntly. On both sides. We didn't start it, but we finished it. How many? Does it matter? Ki-hyun asked. Yes. I pulled away from him. It matters to me. He looked at his brothers, then back at me. 17. 17 people died that night. The number hung in the air like a weight. And their families? I whispered. What happened to them? Some left the city. Some swore revenge. Some, Hyunwoo paused. Some joined us. Joined you? After we gave them a choice, Seo-jun interrupted. Protection and compensation. Or they could leave. No one was forced to stay. But they're still dead, I said. 17 people are still dead because of a territorial dispute. Yes, Ki-hyun said simply. They are. And I won't apologize for protecting what's ours. What's yours? I repeated. Like property. Like territory. Like family, he corrected. Like the people who depend on us for their livelihoods. For their safety. By killing anyone who threatens you? When necessary? Yes. The brutal honesty of it made me take a step back. You're scared, Hyunwoo observed. We understand. Do you? I looked at him. Do you understand what it's like to realize you're carrying the child of men who kill people? Men who have enemies who blow up buildings and send threatening messages? We understand it's not what you signed up for, he said quietly. I didn't sign up for any of this. My voice rose. I didn't sign up to be pregnant and alone. I didn't sign up to be threatened. I didn't sign up to wonder if my baby is going to inherit a legacy of violence and blood. The baby kicked hard like they were responding to my distress. I pressed my hand to my stomach, tears burning in my eyes. I can't do this, I whispered. I can't raise a child in this world. I can't. Jiwon. Ki-hyun reached for me, but I stepped back. Don't, just don't. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Tick-tock, little Omega. Every second you stay with them, more people suffer. How many deaths can you live with? I stared at the message, nausea rising in my throat. They're right, I said. People are getting hurt because of me, because I stayed, because our enemies are cowards who target innocent people. Seo-yun cut in. This isn't on you. Isn't it? I looked at him. If I leave, if I disappear again, they'll have no reason to. They'll hunt you down anyway, Ki-hyun said. You're connected to us now. Our scent is on you. The baby is ours. There's no going back. So what? Anger flared through my fear. I'm just stuck, trapped in your world whether I want to be or not? We're trying to protect you. By making me a prisoner? By keeping you alive? Ki-hyun's voice rose for the first time. Do you think we want this? Do you think we want you in danger? We've spent 3 months searching for you, and now that we found you, you think we're going to let some... He stopped himself, breathing hard. Let some what? I challenged. Some enemy kill me? Some rival take me? I'm not a possession you can just... You're our mate! The words exploded out of him. Whether there's a bond mark or not, whether you accept it or not, you're ours and we're yours, and that's not something we can just turn off. The room went silent. I stared at him, my heart pounding. Mate, I repeated. You think? We know, Hyunwoo said quietly. The moment we caught your scent, the way our bodies responded, the way we couldn't stop searching. That's not normal. That's not just attraction or obligation. That's a mate bond, Seo-jun finished. Incomplete, unclaimed. But there, I shook my head. That's not, mate bonds don't work like that. You have to choose. We did choose, Ki-hyun said. That night, Maybe we didn't understand it then, but we chose you, and our bodies, our instincts. They knew even if our minds didn't. No, I backed toward the door. No, this is too much. This is the truth, Hyunwoo said. And you feel it too, don't you? I wanted to deny it. I wanted to say he was wrong, that this was all just fear and circumstance and desperation. But I remembered the shock when Ki-yeon touched me, the way my body responded to their presence, the way their sense made me feel safe and terrified all at once. It doesn't matter, I said, even as tears spilled down my cheeks. Even if there is a bond, even if we're supposed to be, it doesn't change what you are, what you do. No, Seojun agreed, it doesn't. But it also doesn't change what you are to us, what the baby is to us. Then what am I supposed to do? My voice broke. How am I supposed to reconcile wanting you with being terrified of you? How am I supposed to trust you when people are getting hurt? When? My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Last chance. Leave now or I start with the café. Mrs. Han makes excellent coffee. Would be a shame if something happened to her. The world tilted. Mrs. Han, the only person who'd been kind to me, who'd given me a job when no one else would, who'd checked on me when no one else cared. No, I whispered. No, no, no. I was moving before I could think, heading for the stairs. Jiwon, Ki-yeon's voice behind me. I have to warn her. I have to. Strong arms caught me around the waist, stopping me. Ki-yeon's scent surrounded me. Cedar and smoke and safety and danger all tangled together. Let me go! I struggled against his hold. They're going to hurt her. Seojun's already sending people, Hyunwoo said, his phone to his ear. Mrs. Han will be protected. I promise. You can't promise that. You can't. We can and we will, Seojun said, his voice hard as steel. No one touches her. No one touches anyone you care about. That's not negotiable. Why? I sagged in Ki-yeon's arms, exhaustion and fear overwhelming me. Why are you doing this? Because you're ours to protect, Ki-yeon said against my hair. Because the baby is ours to protect. Because anyone who threatens our family is going to learn exactly what we're capable of. Your family, I repeated numbly. Yes. I closed my eyes, tears streaming down my face. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be part of this world. Then let us teach you, Hyunwoo said softly, coming to stand in front of me. Let us show you that we're more than what you've seen tonight, that we can be what you need us to be. And if you can't, his expression was solemn, then we'll let you go, but not until we know you're safe, not until we know our child is safe. I looked at him, then at Seojun, then back at Ki-yeon, who was still holding me like I might shatter. I need time, I whispered. I need to think. Take all the time you need, Ki-yeon said, but take it here, where we can keep you safe. That's not time. That's survival, he interrupted. Right now, survival is all that matters. We can figure out the rest later. My phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. Wrong choice, Omega. Then the screen went black. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in immediately, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Breach, Seojun said, his voice deadly calm. South perimeter. How many? Hyunwoo asked. Unknown, but they cut the power. They're coming in. Ki-yeon's arms tightened around me. Get him to the safe room. No. Seojun pulled a gun from somewhere I couldn't see. We stay together. Splitting up makes us vulnerable. He's pregnant, which is exactly why we don't let him out of our sight, Seojun interrupted. Safe room. Now. All of us. Hyunwoo was already moving, his hand on my arm. This way. What's happening? My voice shook. Someone made a very bad decision, Ki-yeon said, his tone flat and cold. And they're about to regret it. They moved as a unit, surrounding me, guiding me through hallways I didn't recognize. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every sound made my heart jump. We reached a door that looked like all the others, but when Hyunwoo pressed his palm to a hidden panel, it slid open to reveal a staircase going down. Inside, Seojun ordered. I didn't argue. The staircase led to a room that was part panic room, part armory. Weapons lined one wall. Monitors showing security feeds covered another. A heavy door that looked like it could withstand a bomb. "Stay here," Ki-yun said, guiding me to a chair in the corner. "Don't open this door for anyone but us." "You're leaving!" Panic clawed at my throat. "We have to deal with this," Yunwoo said. "But we'll come back. I promise." "You can't promise." "Yes, we can." Seojun crouched in front of me, his dark eyes intense. "We will come back to you, to our baby." "That's not up for debate." "What if?" "No what ifs." Ki-yun pressed something into my hand. A phone. "This is a direct line to our head of security. If anything happens, if anyone gets through that door that isn't us, you press this button." "Understood?" I nodded, unable to speak. "Good." He cupped my face, his thumb brushing my cheek. "We'll be back soon." Then they were gone, the door sealing shut behind them with a heavy thunk. I sat there in the silence, one hand on my stomach, the other clutching the phone, listening to gunfire erupt somewhere above me. And I realized something that terrified me more than anything else that had happened tonight. I wasn't just scared for myself. I was scared for them. For three alphas I barely knew. Three men who killed and threatened and lived in a world of violence. Three fathers who'd promised to come back to me. "Please," I thought, pressing my hand harder against my stomach where the baby was moving restlessly. "Please let them come back." Time moved differently in the safe room. Minutes felt like hours. Every sound from above made my heart stop. The monitors showed chaos, figures moving through the estate, flashes that might have been gunfire, shadows fighting shadows. I couldn't tell who was winning. The baby wouldn't stop moving, like they could sense my fear. "It's okay," I whispered, though I wasn't sure if I was talking to them or myself. "They'll come back. They have to come back." The gunfire stopped. The sudden silence was worse than the noise. I stared at the door, counting my heartbeats, waiting. "Please." A sound at the door, locks disengaging. I stood, backing into the corner, clutching the phone. The door opened. Ki-yun stepped through first, blood on his shirt but moving steadily. Hyunwoo followed, a cut above his eyebrow. Seojun last, his knuckles bruised and bleeding, but alive. All three of them alive. "Jiwon!" Ki-yun crossed the room in 3 strides. "Are you?" I hit him, my palm connected with his chest. Not hard enough to hurt, just hard enough to express every ounce of fear and fury and relief coursing through me. "Don't you ever," my voice cracked, "don't you ever leave me like that again?" He caught my wrist gently, his eyes searching mine. "We had to." "I don't care." Tears were streaming down my face now. "I don't care about the threats or the enemies or any of it. You don't get to make me care about you and then run off to get killed." "We're okay," he said softly. "We're all okay." "This time," I choked out. "But what about next time? What about—" "There won't be a next time," Seojun said. "Not like this. We made sure of it." I didn't want to know what that meant. I didn't want to think about what they'd done upstairs. I didn't know what I wanted anymore. "I can't do this," I whispered. "I can't live like this. Waiting. Wondering if you're coming back. If the baby and I are going to be targets forever. I can't." "Then don't," Hyunwoo said quietly. I looked at him. "What?" "Don't live like this," he continued. "Live with us. Really with us. Let us build something that keeps you safe, that keeps the baby safe. Let us show you that this," he gestured vaguely upward, "that this doesn't have to be your whole world." "How?" I asked desperately. "How do I trust that?" "One day at a time," Ki-yun said. "One moment at a time. Starting with right now." "Right now?" "Right now you choose," he said. "You choose to stay or go. You choose to give us a chance or walk away. Whatever you decide, we'll respect it. But we need you to choose, Jiwon. We need you to decide if we're worth the risk." I looked at him, then at his brothers, then down at my stomach where our baby was growing. Are they worth it? Am I strong enough for this? Can I really do this? The baby kicked, strong and sure. And I realized I'd already chosen. I'd chosen the moment I agreed to come here. The moment I let them feel the baby move. The moment I started caring whether they came back. I'm staying, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Not because I'm not scared, not because I trust you completely, but because I took a shaky breath. Because I want to. Because maybe we deserve a chance to figure this out. Together. The relief that washed over their faces was almost painful to see. Together, Ki-yun repeated, like he was making a vow. Together, I agreed. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I'd made the right choice. Together, I agreed. The word hung in the air between us. A promise, a threat, a beginning. Ki-yun's hand found mine, his fingers threading through mine like they'd always belonged there. Then let's start now. Start what? Building something real, Hyunwoo said, moving closer. Something that's ours. All of ours. The baby kicked, strong and insistent, like they were agreeing. They know, Seojun observed, his eyes on my stomach. The baby knows we're here. Or they're tired of all the drama, I said, trying for lightness, even though my heart was still racing. Ki-yun smiled. Small, genuine, devastating. Smart kid. Already takes after you. We should get you cleaned up, Hyunwoo said, gesturing to the door. It's over up there. Safe. For now, I added. For now, he agreed. But we'll deal with tomorrow when it comes. Tonight, he glanced at his brothers. Tonight, we take care of you. They led me back upstairs, through hallways that showed signs of the breach, scuff marks on walls, a broken vase, a door hanging slightly ajar. But everything was eerily quiet now. Where? I stopped myself. Never mind. I don't want to know. Good instinct, Seojun said. They brought me back to the guest room, and for a moment we all just stood there in the doorway, like none of us knew what came next. You should rest, Ki-yun said finally. It's almost 4 a.m. You and the baby need sleep. What about you? We have things to handle. No. I turned to face them fully. No more running off to handle things without telling me. If we're doing this together, then I need to know what's happening, even if it scares me, especially if it scares me. The three of them exchanged glances. The people who breached the estate, Hyunwoo said carefully. They're being dealt with. Questions are being asked. We'll know who sent them by morning. And then we make sure they understand that you're off limits, Seojun said. Permanently. The casual way he said it should have terrified me. Maybe it did, but it also made me feel something else. Protected, claimed, safe in a way I'd never felt before. I want to know, I said, when you find out who's behind this, I want to know why they targeted me. My voice caught. Why they're willing to hurt innocent people to get to you. It's not about getting to us, Ki-yun said quietly. It's about taking what's ours. You, the baby. They think if they can control you, they can control us. Can they? His eyes met mine, dark and intense. What do you think? I thought about the way they'd moved tonight, the way they'd protected me, the way they'd come back despite the danger. I think, I said slowly, that anyone who tries to take me from you is going to regret it. Something fierce and possessive flashed in Ki-hyun's eyes. Yes, they will. But that's a problem for tomorrow, Hyunwoo interjected. Tonight you need rest. Real rest. He was right. Exhaustion was pulling at me, making my limbs heavy and my thoughts sluggish. Okay, I agreed. But I looked at the three of them. Will you stay? Just for a little while. Until I fall asleep. I expected them to refuse, to say they had work to do or calls to make or a dozen other reasons why they needed to leave. Instead, Ki-yun just nodded. Of course. We settled into an arrangement that should have been awkward, but somehow wasn't. I changed into soft sleep clothes they provided, actual maternity wear that fit properly for the first time in weeks. When I emerged from the bathroom, all three of them were in the room. Ki-yun sat on the edge of the bed, Hyunwoo in the chair by the window, Seojun leaning against the wall, arms crossed but expression soft. This is weird, right? I said. This should be weird. Probably, Sojun agreed, but I'm too tired to care. I climbed into bed and immediately Ki-yun shifted, giving me space while staying close. Comfortable. As comfortable as I can be with a baby using my ribs as a punching bag. Active tonight, Hyunwoo observed. They've been active since… I paused. Since you showed up at the cafe yesterday. Like they know you're near. Bond recognition, Seojun said. Even unborn, they can sense their parents. All three of you. All three of us, Ki-yun confirmed. In triplet alpha bonds, the child carries the scent and connection of all three fathers. They'll know us, trust us, even before they're born. The certainty in his voice made my chest ache. Tell me something, I said, looking up at the ceiling. Something about your family. About what kind of life this baby is going to have. Silence for a moment. Then Hyunwoo spoke. Our parents died when we were 16. Car accident. We had no one, nothing except each other, and a debt to a man who wanted us dead or working for him. We chose working for him, Sojun continued. Learned everything we could. Got strong, got ruthless. And when we were old enough, we took everything he'd built and made it ours. We're not good men, Jiwon, Ki-yun said quietly. We've done things that would make you run if you knew the details. But everything we've done to survive. To build something that can't be taken from us. And now, I asked, what are you building now? A family, Hyunwoo said simply. Something worth protecting. Something worth being better for. Can you be better? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Can you really change? For you? Ki-yun's hand found mine in the darkness. For our baby? Yes. We can be whatever we need to be. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe all of them. I'm scared, I admitted. I'm scared of this world. I'm scared of being a parent. I'm scared of… My voice broke. I'm scared of falling for you and then losing you. Then don't fall alone, Sojun said, moving closer. Fall with us. Let us catch you. And if you don't, then we'll hit the ground together, Ki-yun said. But we won't let go. That's the one thing we can promise. We won't let go. The baby kicked, hard, like punctuating his words. I laughed, watery, exhausted, overwhelmed. Even the baby agrees with you. Smart kid, Hyunwoo repeated with a small smile. I must have dozed off at some point because when I opened my eyes again, pale dawn light was filtering through the curtains. And I wasn't alone. Ki-yun had stretched out beside me on top of the covers, his hand still holding mine. Seojun sat in the chair, his eyes closed but his posture alert. Hyunwoo stood by the window, watching the sunrise. They'd stayed. All night they'd stayed. Something in my chest cracked open, a wall I'd built to protect myself, crumbling under the weight of their presence. You're awake, Hyunwoo said softly, not turning around. You stayed. We said we would. I know, but… I struggled to put it into words. People say a lot of things. We're not people, Sojun said, opening his eyes. We're your mates. There's a difference, that word again. Mates. About that, I said, pushing myself up carefully. The bond thing. How does it work with 3 alphas and 1 omega? Carefully, Ki-yun said, sitting up. Triplet bonds are rare. They require balance, trust, complete synchronization. And marking? The atmosphere in the room shifted, charged with sudden tension. Marking is… Hyunwoo trailed off, choosing his words carefully. Permanent. Once we mark you, once you accept our claim, there's no going back. You'll carry our scent. We'll carry yours. Everyone will know you're ours. And if I don't want to be marked, then we wait, Ki-yun said immediately. Until you're ready, until you trust us enough. We won't force anything, Jiwon. Not the bond, not the claiming. Not any of it. But you want to? Yes, all 3 of them said in unison. The honesty of it stole my breath. I don't know if I'm ready, I admitted. We know, Hyunwoo said, and that's okay. Is it? Because the baby? We'll be fine, Seojun interrupted. Bond mark or not, they're ours. You're ours. A ceremony doesn't change that. Then what does it change? Ki-yun moved closer, his hand cupping my face with devastating gentleness. It changes how the world sees you. Right now, you're vulnerable, unprotected by pack law. Unmated omegas are, he stopped, jaw tightening. They're considered fair game by certain people. But if you carry our mark, no one would dare touch you. You'd be untouchable. So it's about protection. It's about more than that, Yeonwoo said. It's about belonging, about family, about showing the world that you chose us and we chose you. Even though we barely know each other? We have time to learn, Sojun said. But some things you just know. And we knew the moment we caught your scent that you were meant to be ours. I looked at each of them, at Ki-yeon's fierce protectiveness, Hyunwoo's careful control, Seo-jun's brutal honesty, three alphas who terrified me and made me feel safer than I'd ever felt. Three fathers who already loved a baby they'd never met. Three men who were offering me something I'd never thought I'd have. A family. I need time, I said finally. Not years or months, just time to process all of this. To understand what I'm agreeing to. Take all the time you need, Ki-yeon said. But stay here, Hyunwoo added. Stay where we can protect you. Where we can show you what this life could be. And if I hate it, then we'll figure something else out, Sojun said. But give us a chance first. Give yourself a chance. The baby kicked, gentle and rhythmic. I placed my hand on my stomach and felt their life, their presence, their future. Our future. Okay, I whispered. I'll stay. I'll try. The relief that washed over their faces was almost painful in its intensity. Thank you, Ki-yeon breathed, pressing his forehead to mine. Thank you for trusting us. I don't trust you, I said honestly. Not yet, but I want to. And that's a start, right? It's everything, Hyunwoo said. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of strange domesticity. Breakfast arrived, more food than I could possibly eat, but I tried, clothes that actually fit. A doctor who came to check on me and the baby, declaring both of us healthy despite the stress. Through it all, the three of them were there. Not hovering, but present, available, attentive in a way that made my chest ache. By afternoon, I was exhausted again, but it was a different kind of tired. Not the bone-deep exhaustion of fear and survival. Just tired. Rest, Ki-yeon said, guiding me back to the guest room. We have some things to handle, but we'll be back soon. Nothing dangerous? Just business, Hyunwoo assured me. Boring business. I didn't entirely believe him, but I was too tired to argue. I climbed into bed, and within minutes I was asleep. I woke to darkness and the sensation of being watched. My eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim light. All three of them stood at the foot of the bed, their expressions unreadable in the shadows. What's wrong? I asked, sitting up. What happened? We found out who sent the attack, Seo-jun said, his voice flat. My heart stuttered. And it's complicated, Hyunwoo said carefully. How complicated? Ki-yeon moved closer, sitting on the edge of the bed. Jiwon, there's something we need to tell you. About the baby. About that night. Ice flooded my veins. What about it? The gala wasn't random, he said. We were there because someone told us we'd find our fated mate. Someone who knew? Knew what? The three of them exchanged glances. That you'd be there, Hyunwoo finished. That you were the one we'd been waiting for. I don't understand. Someone set us up to meet you, Seo-jun said, and now they want you back. The world tilted. Who? I whispered. Ki-yeon's hand found mine, his grip tight. Your father. The word echoed in the silence. My father. The man who disowned me, who told me I was a disgrace. He'd known. He'd planned this. Why? My voice broke. Why would he? Because you're not just any Omega, Hyunwoo said quietly. You're... A knock at the door interrupted him. Sharp. Urgent. Seo-jun moved to answer it, his body tense. A man I didn't recognize stood in the hallway, his expression grim. Sir, we have a situation. What kind of situation? The kind that requires all of you, now. Ki-yeon stood, his hand still holding mine. We'll be right back. No. I gripped his hand harder. Whatever this is, I need to know. No more secrets. He looked at his brothers. They nodded. Tell her, Hyunwoo said. The man in the doorway stepped inside and I saw what he was holding. A photograph. He handed it to Ki-yeon, who looked at it and went completely still. What is it? I asked. Slowly, he turned the photograph toward me. It was me, 8 years old maybe, standing between two people I didn't recognize. Except, my breath stopped. The woman in the photo had my eyes, my smile, and around her neck, a silver necklace with 3 intertwined circles. The same necklace the Shin brothers' mother wore in the photo on Hyunwoo's desk. Jiwon, Ki-yeon said, his voice strained. There's something you need to know about who you really are. I stared at the photograph, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might explode. Who am I? He opened his mouth to answer. The lights went out. All of them. Complete darkness. Then a sound. Footsteps in the hallway, getting closer. Seojun moved first, pushing me behind him. Get him out of here. Where? Ki-yeon demanded. Anywhere but... The door exploded inward. Smoke, shouting, chaos, strong arms around me, Ki-yeon pulling me toward the window. Don't look back, he said urgently. Whatever happens, don't... A gunshot. Hyunwoo's voice, sharp and commanding. Go! We were moving, running, the sound of fighting behind us, my hand on my stomach, protecting the baby. Ki-yeon's hand in mine, pulling me forward. And behind us, a voice I knew. A voice that shouldn't be here. My father's voice, cold and certain. You can't run from what you are, Jiwon. You never could. We burst through a door into cold night air. Ki-yeon spun to face me, his eyes wild with something between fear and fury. I need you to trust me, he said. Your father's right. You can't run from this, from who you are, from what you were always meant to be. What am I? I demanded, tears streaming down my face. He pulled me close, his lips at my ear, his voice breaking. You're not just our mate, Jiwon. You're... Behind us, an explosion. The world turned to fire and sound and chaos. And in that moment, suspended between truth and destruction, with Ki-yeon's arms around me and our baby between us, everything I thought I knew shattered. His next words would change everything, if we lived long enough to hear them. Because bonds remember, even the ones we forgot we had. Comment forever if you need to know what Jiwon really is.